Slogan number 33. Aham eva sam eva kre nanyadyat sat asat param paschat aham yat etacha yo avasyeta so asmi aham. The translation is Prabhupada. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. Here, Lord speaks to Brahma that before creation there was nothing except Lord Himself. And whatever we see in the creation, it is also the Lord Himself. And what is going to be remain after the total annihilation, it's also going to be the Lord Himself. So in the purport, Prabhupada gives his argument to refute the impersonalist philosophy. So what the preamble is that one should be attached to the root of the tree and not bewildered by the branches and leaves. So Vishnu, because there are so many things are there, by just looking at those things we should not get bewildered. Just we need to be attached to the root, who is the cause of all this happening. So we need to attach to that root, not everything what we are seeing. So this is the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead existed before creation when nothing was there. What is existing is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead will only remain after annihilation. So what is the impersonalist argument is that what is or was existing also Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the argument. So Brahma was the only existing. As per their argument, the Brahma was the only existing. So Brahma is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are referring to this particular sloka, and they are telling that since the sloka says that what was existing before the creation, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that means since Brahma was existing, so Brahma is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is their argument. How Prabhupada refutes them is that there is one creator, is called predominator, and another one created is predominated. So clearly both are different persons. So that means when there is a creation, one person creates and there is another person being created. So there are clearly there is two different personalities are there. So the creator I and creator I both are qualitatively one, because both are nityas and chetanas. So both are qualitatively one, the creator as well as the creator, both are qualitatively one. So Prabhupada refers here the Canto verses. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetanana ekoyo bahuna vidadati kama. This is from Canto. So it says that the creator I is singular. So if you say this one, this nityo nityanam, this nityo is in the singular form and nityanam is in plural. So this nityo, it refers to the one who created, and the nityanam refers to the one who has been created. So here it says that creator I is singular, that is Supreme Lord, and the creator I is plural. That means who is the plural is the Brahma and those generated by Brahma. Everything is being created. That singular creator supplies whatever the need of the plural creator. So here you see, Eko yo bahuna vidadati kama means whatever the created beings, whatever they need, everything has been given by the one who creates them. So Prabhupada gives a very nice analogy here. It says that father creates or begets the son and grandson. So the father, son and grandson, they are all different personalities, but they are all humans. So similarly, who is creating is a personality, and who has been created, they are also personalities. But qualitatively they are one, but there is a difference. So the predominator I is the feeder of the predominated I. And again, this next argument for the impersonal is that in the ultimate issue, everything is impersonal. So Prabhupada refers that both creator and created are person. When the created and also the creator both are person, then how it can be impersonal? It's not logic. So Brahma is seen face to face the Lord, and he shook hand with the Lord. So when it is happening, then how it is impersonal? The Brahma is a person and the Lord is also a person. Both of them, they have seen each other and they shook hand with each other. Then how it can be impersonal? And the all circumstances, either it is before creation or during maintenance or annihilation, the Lord's form is always existing. So it cannot be an impersonal. And Prabhupada refers another verses from the Vedas. It is Vasudeva Vahidam Akra Asinna Brahmadacha Sankara Ego Narayana Asin Na Brahma Nesara. So before creation there was none except Vasudeva. There was neither Brahma nor Sankara. So there was no Brahma nor Sankara. Only the Lord was there, Vasudeva. Difference between created and creator is always there, though both are qualitatively one. So the difference is always existing. Even the devotees of the Lord are not annihilated during the entire annihilation. So then what to speak of the Lord? So even the devotees of the Lord, they are not getting annihilated. When they are in the Vaikuntha planets, the total annihilation takes place in the material creation, manifested material creation. But still it is existing. The Vaikuntha planets are existing. And the devotees who are there in the Vaikuntha planets, they are also existing. They are not getting annihilated. Then what to speak of the Lord? That is what Skanda Purana says. And another argument of impersonal is that Vaikuntha lokas are void. There is nothing in Vaikuntha loka, it's void. So Prabhupada refutes that Vaikuntha lokas are full of transcendental variegatedness. And they are full of opulence of wealth and prosperity. So much wealth is there. And Prabhupada refers that there are even airplanes for the residents of the Vaikuntha planets. They travel in airplanes. And they are sanatana in nature, not annihilated even after annihilation of manifested cosmos. So the existence of personality of God implies the existence of Vaikunthas. So that means Prabhupada very nicely he compares that without the kingdom there can be no king. So when we agree that there is a king, that it directly implies that there must be a kingdom. Without kingdom there cannot be a king. So in that logic, so when the Lord is there, then there must be sure his place is there. That place is Vaikuntha. So the another argument is that there is no activity for the Supreme Lord. Another argument of the person is that Supreme Lord does nothing. There is no activity. But they don't see that this very same text itself, there is an activity of the Lord. The Lord is creating. Then how can they say that there is no activity for the Lord? This very text is the proof that the Lord has activities. The activities of Brahma and other demigods are to be understood as the activity of the Lord. So whatever Brahma is doing creation, or even Prabhupada refers that all the demigods, they are all the form of the Lord, which they carry out so many as per the instructions of the Lord, so many activities as per the instructions of the Lord. So that also has to be taken as the activity of the Lord. So further Prabhupada says the king may not be present in the government offices, but everything is carried out under the guidance of the order of the king. So we cannot see the king here in all the government offices, but all the activities are being carried out under as per the order of the king. So that means that someone is guiding them. The next point is that both impersonal and personal feature of the Lord are acceptable. That's what Prabhupada's final argument is, that both impersonal as well as the personal feature of the Lord are acceptable. The Lord may not be seen in his form by the less intelligent in the material world. So he is sometimes called as formless, but he is always eternally present in eternal form in his eternal land. So here in this material world we cannot see the Lord because of the less intelligence, because of our impurities in the senses. So that doesn't mean that the Lord is not having any form. The Lord is having the form, he is always present in his eternal land. Prabhupada gives an analogy that sun is not visible in the night. So here, now in the night, we cannot see the sun. But that doesn't imply that there is no sun. Sun is there in somewhere else. It is arising in some other place. So similarly, since we cannot see the Lord, that doesn't mean that Lord has got no form. But one who has got the intelligence, they can see the Lord. The impersonal future is existent in material world because by material senses and material eyes, the Lord cannot be seen. So since what our senses are material, they are not pure and they are not perfect, so we cannot see the Lord, form of the Lord. But he is eternally seen by the residents of Vaikuntha. So the Vaikuntha residents, they can see the Lord always. Like the head of the state is impersonal in government office, but he is personally present in the government office. Like the king is not present in the government offices. But of course the king is personally present in the palace. So, but the confidential part of the spiritual knowledge is realization of personality of God and not the impersonal feature. So the gist of our spiritual knowledge is that we need to aspire to understand the personal feature of the Lord, not the impersonal feature of the Lord. So the final is that the root of everything is Krishna. So one should be attached to the root of creation and not to the branches and leaves. We should not be getting attached to the creation, but we should attach to the So how does it applies to the preaching application to refute the arguments of impersonalists? So whatever the Prabhupada has given all the nice analogies and the points, we can refute the arguments of the impersonalists to establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And our personal practice, it helps to improve my confidence that I am in the right path. So we should not think that what we are doing is somewhere it's something correct or not. When we go out, when we meet with so many people, different varieties of people, sometimes they put an argument. So we should not think that no, maybe our path is right or not. We should have that conviction that yes, our path is right. Understand that I was created by Lord, so there must be some purpose. So we should understand that we have been created by the Lord, so there must be some purpose for our creation. The Lord doesn't create something without any purpose. So since the Lord has created us, there is a purpose. So we need to find out what is that purpose and fulfill that. Jiva. Prabhu, can I ask further from Chaitanya sir?
Okay, so thank you. Excellent presentation. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the same shloka is also dealt with. Actually, what he has done in the Bhagavatam, he deals with the shlokas in one subject, and Chaitanya Charitamrita he deals with them in a slightly different subject. So if you see the entire Bhagavatam shloka of the first shloka, Ahameva Sameva Agre, is simply dedicated to refute Maya the philosophy. And in the end, he actually establishes that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. It's a long purport. The purport, Prabhupada, step by step, he actually, he has very nicely brought out all the different steps that Prabhupada has taken to refute the Maya philosophy. And in the end, he establishes that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. In the Bhagavatam, in the Charitamrita, he actually explains the whole shloka in a slightly different perspective. So there he has explained that earth. So there is the shloka is Ahameva Sameva Agre Nanyam Yat Sadasat Param Paschadaham Yetaccha Yovashishyata Shosmena. So he has explained that this earth refers to Brahmajyoti. And this Brahmajyoti is the source of creation. And Prabhupada gives the analogy of Brahmajyoti, he actually compares it to the sun. So from the sun, what is the product of sun?
Light.
Heat. Clouds. Clouds are the product of sun. Okay. When sun evaporates the water, then the water becomes clouds. So from clouds comes rain. From rain comes vegetation. And from vegetation, the living entities are sustained. This is Bhagavad Gita. Anadro Vidatani, Pajanyatana Sambhavaha, Ekyan Bhavati Pajanyam, Ekakama Sambhavaha. So actually Prabhupada explains this analysis in terms of this, like sun is the source of the clouds, clouds is the source of rain, rain is the source of vegetation, and vegetation is the source of sustenance. Same way, Brahmajyoti is the source of the sustenance of the whole material creation. Okay. So this material creation, which is sustained by Brahmajyoti, is actually exhibited as Sat and Asat. Nanyam Yat Sadasat Param. Okay, is exhibited as Sat and Asat. So Sat and Asat means cause and effect. Sat and Asat means what? Cause and effect. So the sun is the cause of the clouds. So sun is the cause and the effect is clouds. The clouds is the cause of rain. So clouds is the cause and rain is the effect. And then rain is the cause of vegetation. So rain is the cause and vegetation is the cause and sustenance is the effect. So the whole creation is simply exhibited as a cycle of cause and effect.
How Brahmajyoti is?
Brahmajyoti is the source of creation. It's normally understood. Even
Brahmajyoti is just the negation.
Yeah, that is the
Illumination.
That is the effulgence of the Lord. That effulgence of the Lord is the source of material creation. The energy for the material creation comes from Brahmajyoti. So there is cause and effect. So the whole material creation is simply exhibited as a series of cause and effects. This is what we generally study in modern world, modern science. We simply study this chain of cause and effect. But what Krishna says in the Chaturshloki is that there is a param. Param means there is a supreme cause which actually sets up this reaction of the cause and effect. Yeah. And this supreme cause is not a product of this cause and effect. So by the word param, these two things are established. What are the two things established? That there is a supreme cause which is the source of this whole chain reaction of cause and effect. The second thing is established is that supreme cause is not a product of this cause and effect, which means that supreme cause does not have any other cause. Yeah? That supreme cause does not have any other cause. So the cause of Brahmajyoti is Krishna. So he is the supreme cause, or he is the Param, Sarva Karana Karanam. So he becomes the cause of all causes. This is one part. The second part is that he is not a product of this cause and effect. He is not a product of Brahmajyoti. He is not a product of Brahmajyoti. Brahmajyoti is his product. So Krishna is saying, Aham evasam evagre, nanyat yat sadasat param. There is no cause or effect which is beyond me. So he is the ultimate cause of all causes. So then the question comes that what happens after annihilation? Okay. So Krishna confirms so Krishna confirms three things in this shloka. So the first thing which Krishna confirms in this shloka is that aham evasam evagre. So prior to creation, of the material world, the spiritual world existed with variety. Okay, so this is the first point Krishna is establishing, that prior to the creation or prior to the manifestation of the Tripad Vibhuti, Ekpad Vibhuti, the Tripad Vibhuti it actually existed, and it existed with all its varieties, and it existed with the Lord, the Supreme Lord or Krishna as the whole source of the entire creation and as the leader of all the spiritual beings, Sakradam Pati. He was the leader of all the spiritual beings. So he existed prior to the exhibition of the creation. And what is the second point? He confirms that he is the source of creation. Okay. The whole cause and effect, the whole cycle of cause and effect is simply set forth by him. He is the source of creation. Nanyat yat sadasat param. So when he says param, he establishes two things. What is that? That he is the ultimate cause of all causes and then he is not the product of the cause and effect. Okay. And there is also a third point which he establishes. What is that? When the creation is taking place, it is not that he is simply dispersed in the creation and then he gets lost. It's not that when the creation is taking place, when the creation is going on, it is not that he is completely dispersed in the creation and he is lost. Still, as the creation takes place, he remains in his abode. This also is another meaning of the word param. That he remains above all this in his own abode, with his own activities, with his own pastimes. He simply remains in his abode. While his different energies act in different ways for the purpose of creation. Like the Purusha avatars are exhibited, there is Karanamavashaya Vishnu, there is the Bodakshaya Vishnu, there is Shirodakshaya Vishnu, there is a different living entities, Brahma, the 33 crore demigods, and all the living entities, 8,400,000 species of life, 14 planetary systems, everything is going on. But parallelly, his activities in his own abode are also going on. It is not that when the creation is started, then he becomes impersonally dispersed in the creation. And then, when the annihilation takes place, what remains? His he and his associates. They remain. So this is very specifically confirmed. It will be confirmed in the third canto by a question of Vidura. Vidura will ask that when the Lord is sleeping on the causal ocean, when the creation is withdrawn, how does he get attended to? Who attends to him? Is that he is alone? There is no variety, there is no variativeness, there is no pastime. Is he alone? Or he has his attendants and his pastimes? So the Lord actually, he remains, even when the creation is wound off, he remains with his associates in Goloka Vrindavan. That's what Paschadaham Yedaksha Yovashishyeta Soshmina. I remain, Krishna says that he remains in the end. And Prabhupada gives this nice analogy which Prabhupada explained. That the existence of the king means the existence of his kingdom. So this is how Prabhupada explains this whole shloka in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay?
Only during inhalation, everything, this material world becomes zero, or it goes in the Mahatattva?
The material world is withdrawn and it actually remains in the state of pradhana. So pradhana means it is a state where the material elements are remaining in equilibrium. They are inert and they are not agitated.
But Lord is also there in
The Lord is
pradhana?
there. The Lord is there. The pradhana is actually inside him. The pradhana is inside him.
Yeah.
It remains inside him.
You are explaining the associates remains in pradhana?
No, that is only the material.
Yeah,
The jivas who are actually having the material propensities which are not fulfilled, they actually remain suspended in the pradhana. But these associates which we are talking about are these eternal associates in Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha and Goloka. They are full of activity and their activities are going on. They are not dependent on the material creation. Their activities don't depend on the material creation. Their activities are exhibited in its full opulence in the spiritual creation. But in spiritual, we don't talk in terms of creation, because the moment we talk in terms of creation, we are talking about
Annihilation also.
time.
Yeah, time.
The moment we talk about creation, we talk about time. So there is nothing called spiritual creation because there is no time there. But it is understood that the Lord is the source of the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, the activities of the Lord are eternally going.
The spiritual world is not created.
In that sense, it is not created. Because the moment we talk about creation, we talk about time. So, it's Sanatana, it's ever existing.
But if somebody will argue that we say that from Krishna came Chaturyuga,
That's what I'm saying. You cannot understand Krishna by mundane logic. When we say that when Krishna came this Chaturyuga and from Chaturyuga came the second Chaturyuga, we are immediately thinking in terms of time. We are immediately thinking in terms of time. This is the mistake which we generally do when we think of spiritual world. That's why the Shastra says the spiritual world cannot be understood by mundane senses and mundane logic, because we cannot think without time. Material world, everything is simply time, and we cannot think without time. Without timeline, we cannot think. We can only think in terms of past, present, and future. But in spiritual world, there is neither past nor future. There is only present. It is continuously present. We cannot think like that. How they can continuously present? We cannot understand. Because for us, if one day goes means it is past. One day gone means it is past, it is yesterday. And today is today. And tomorrow is tomorrow. But in spiritual world, the day goes. Ashtakali Leela is there. The eightfold pastimes are exhibited. But it is not past, it is not present, it is not future. So how it is? We cannot.
Probably the shloka, this one, answering Brahma, the answer to the question is that Krishna is always there. I mean, it has been related to tense only. He was always there, he will be, he's there now.
Yeah, because he is talking in terms of material creation. The moment when you talk in terms of material creation, time becomes applicable. At one point it is created, at one point it is annihilated. So time becomes applicable. So there is a zone in which time becomes applicable. So he is talking from that perspective, that before creation I was there, and after creation I will be there, and during creation I am there. So that is the reason why he talks in terms of past, present, and future. Because he is talking about a zone where time is very much applicable. Okay? Yeah.
Last purpose writes, the demigods like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Indra, Chandra,
Yeah.
the demigod is Vishnu also.
Yeah, Gunavatar is a demigod. I mean, in the sense that he is not permanently there, even though he is Vishnu Tattva, but his position is not like, only when the creation is there, he is there. Even Purusha Avataras are like that. Purusha Avataras are restricted to creation. Right? They are only there for the purpose of creation. They don't have anything to do with the spiritual world.
Demigod is away from Vishnu Tattva, they are Jiva Tattva.
Yeah, demigods are Jiva Tattva, but this Vishnu is not Jiva Tattva, okay? But he is only there for the purpose of creation. So in that sense, he says that he is not a permanent feature, he doesn't have a Vaikuntha. Paramatma does not have a Vaikuntha. Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu does not have a Vaikuntha. They don't have Vaikuntha planets. They are only meant for the material world. They don't have Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world. Yeah.
How did the idea that Vishnu is the source and Krishna is the, how did that idea come? I mean, for the
Prabhupada explains that no, it's not for Mayavadis, even sometimes Sri Vaishnavas also say this, not sometimes, Sri Vaishnavas also say the same thing. That's because normally when the Lord descends, he descends through Shirodaksha Vishnu. So that is the route he descends. The Lord descends through Shirodaksha Vishnu. So Shirodaksha Vishnu is generally considered as the source of all the avatars. Prabhupada explains it in the Krishna book, first chapter. But when Krishna comes, everyone descends through him. So normally what is the situation? That Shirodaksha Vishnu is the source and Shirodaksha Vishnu expands into different incarnations. But when Krishna comes, then everybody goes and integrates into him. Prabhupada explains that in the Krishna book in the first chapter. So that's the difference. So it looks as if he is coming through the traditional route. But it is not that Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the source of Krishna. When Krishna comes, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu goes into Krishna. He actually, Krishna collects everyone and then comes as Purnavada. So since the root is same, sometimes it looks as if he is an incarnation. And also, there are other days of, the other times on the day of Brahma that Krishna is an incarnation.
Vast.
But you are saying the Vishnu comes from Krishna and Krishna comes from Vishnu.
Yeah. Now the other times in the day of Brahma, when Krishna is an incarnation.
But that's not.
That's not our Krishna. Jiva Goswami explains that the Swayam Bhagavan Krishna comes only once in a day of Brahma. He doesn't come like every time. He comes only once in a day of Brahma. So in that sense also they are correct. The other Krishnas are only incarnations. They are not Swayam Bhagavan. And whenever Swayam Bhagavan Krishna comes, along with him, Mahaprabhu comes.
Like this one, last one.
Yes. So when Swayam Bhagavan Krishna descends, then that's the time Mahaprabhu comes. Otherwise, in previous Kaliga, it was not Mahaprabhu. In previous Kaliga, it was Balaji. Our Tirupati Balaji is the previous Kaliga avatar. So from that Kaliga, he is still there in Tirupati. It's clear? The first shloka is clear that the different explanations of first shloka. Okay? All yours.
And then 35, 36. Correct.
No, we have. That's it.
I wanted to stick both.
Yeah, we have.
35, 36.
You can look at the wall. Oh, magnet. Oh, okay. No, just knock off that and then put it on that. Yeah, that's it. Simply.
One by one.
Clear.
Alright, it's easier to see. The
second shloka, actually when I was reading this, I just want to recite text 30. In that we see the mood of Brahma, and the translation says, "O my Lord, the unborn, you have shaken hands with me just as a friend does with a friend, as if equal in position. I shall be engaged in the creation of different types of living entities, and I shall be occupied in your service. I shall have no perturbations. But, this is important now, I pray that all this may not give rise to pride, as if I were the supreme." So that, I thought, is a fundamental principle of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when I read 31 and 32, because that is the basis of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So there, because he was not proud of all that, the 31 is spoken by the Lord himself, 31 and 32. And there the Lord says it is very confidential, this knowledge, because Brahma asks, the questions, what are your form in matter and in transcendence? What are the various energies, and what is the supplier of the Lord? So many 4 questions are there, but the Lord says that since you are involved in the devotional service, this rahasyam, this confidential knowledge I will reveal to you. So the same thing you will see in Bhagavad Gita also, the Arjuna and Krishna, because you are my dear friend, I will reveal this knowledge to you. And when we read 31 and 32, 31 of Chaitanya Charitamrita, very quickly I went through, it says it is a mystery. Prabhupada writes that this knowledge, the confidential, it is a mystery, and he says one who is attached to the personal form of the Lord will get all the knowledge. And then there is a very important sentence there, that there is nothing but Krishna. Prabhupada writes very clearly, there is nothing but Krishna. So that confidentiality of the knowledge is revealed to Brahma because he is engaged in a devotional activity. He was born and he said, okay, whatever you will say, I will do. He did not reinvent the wheel. So that is the basis, the prelude. And the second one, which is also very important, 32nd, the Lord says, now you are the owner of everything, basically. What I have, the transcendental qualities, and the form, and the color, and so many varieties, let all be awakened within you. So that's very important. And then Prabhupada mentions that it is only the causeless mercy. Because of that, Brahma got this. Just like, he gives a very wonderful analogy. He says, just like a son, there are many sons, like, some father has got 2, 3 sons, but one son is the pet. So automatically he gets. Of course, other sons also get, but one son is the pet and he gets the maximum. So 31 and 32, and what I found very interesting is Prabhupada in these shlokas is constantly hammering impersonalists. That is the common, like Prabhuji was saying, that's kicking the impersonalist. Then he says in 32 that impersonalist without a mundane form, they think this is all formless. They don't know about the spiritual form. So that's the background. The background is 31 and 32, which is confidential knowledge, and the 32 is the causeless mercy. So then we go to the text 34. But before that, just see 34. Whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. And of course, he goes on with the illusion and all. So when we discussed last time that this one has got a sambandha, means clear cut it is there. Whatever we see in this world, if it is not related to Krishna, means it is zero. The first application sambandha comes here. And how is the Vijnana and all, we will see later on in Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. But here it clearly says that relationship with the Lord, that is the most important thing. Then Prabhupada explains 2.9.34 that basically the whole purport talks about the external energy, that is Maya. And Prabhupada says that there are two types, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Yoga Maya means whatever material creation is there, whatever is present here, when it is seen in connection with the Lord, that is Yoga Maya. Simply. And when all those things are seen disconnected from the Lord, that is Mahamaya. See, when we started Canto 2, why there is so much description of universal form of the Lord? That I think the very first class probably asked why there is, and that is because somehow or the other, we, the conditioned soul, we get connected to the Lord. That is the principle. Otherwise, in Bhagavatam, what is the use of it? This time it's a universal form. It is already there in 11th chapter of this. But somehow or other, we get connected to the Lord. That is the purpose in this particular world. Because it is very easy to get disconnected. And then the whole purport, Prabhupada, if you read that one, he writes how to get connected. He says first that we should read Srimad Bhagavatam, the way we are doing now. He writes that we should read and hear Srimad Bhagavatam from the pure devotee. That's one. Then he says that we should understand that never was there any time. He writes, he quotes that also. Never was there any time when I did not exist. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I did not exist. Arjuna, you were Arjuna, I was there, and you will continue to exist. So means here is giving a practical example that how to get connected, because you are always there. There is nothing to fear. So Vijnana and connection, both are coming together. Practically also we can apply, as well as the connection is also there with the Lord. So Prabhupada quotes that. Then he says that he quotes again the first one, which you described in 33 shloka. He says how to get connected with the Lord and what is Vijnana is to understand this, that the Lord existed before the creation and the Lord is responsible for the creation and Lord will continue to exist after the creation. After the material world is annihilated, he will be there. His creation is always there. So that also helps in our practical Vijnana and connection, that we have to get connected with the Lord. And in this same Yogamaya, the Prabhupada says the real independence exists in the Supreme Being, and we can understand from the last class also what is our independence. Our independence is to just understand this connection, that's it. When we don't understand, we will just rot in this phase. So this is the independence, to understand that we have to get connected, practically apply Krishna consciousness, derivation of Vaibhab in association of the devotees, and get connected here. So that is this part. Then Prabhupada very clearly describes Mahamaya, that is disconnected, and then starts the whole series of this illusion and everything. Prabhupada writes that there are two types of illusion. One is the throwing influence. And in the throwing influence, what happens? He quotes Bhagavad Gita that those who want to be thrown, that into the ignorance, they are thrown, and if they are not into Krishna consciousness, or if they are not in the knowledgeable state, then the Lord provides also. And he quotes Bhagavad Gita Shlok, if somebody wants to go into darkness, okay, I will give that darkness, go into that. So he quotes that one. And then he says the covering influence, first the living beings are thrown because of this type of illusion. And the covering influence is, after one is thrown, the knowledge is also covered. So that is very important for us to understand that, we are thrown also, and then there is a provision where knowledge also is getting covered also. Then the third aspect of illusion Prabhupada describes is Prakriti. And he says a very wonderful statement again, this material world, for those who are not connected, or for those who wants to be in illusion, is such a dramatic place. He writes like a dramatic place, that we will think that this is in itself is everything. So that sentence was very inspiring, that sometimes this is when we talk to the people who are not in Krishna consciousness, what is wrong with this? A personal example I am giving you. Whenever I discuss this with my father, he says, why do you want to discover spiritual world, Krishna and all? What is wrong with this? What is your problem? I want to come again and again. So why? I want to, what is the problem? Why do you want to be in misery and all that thing and all? Why do you think all these things? Prakriti. Prabhupada clearly writes, Prakriti is such a thing, when it is not connected, it can really be illusion. And he gives a very wonderful example. He says, snake and a rope and a snake. See, from a distance, rope looks like illusion, look like a snake. But it's not snake. We are into illusion. But rope is rope. It's not false. There is a rope. But we have illusion to see that as a snake. So Prabhupada goes on describing these two things very nicely. And he quotes in the end, 10.8 in the middle, that Aham Sarvasva Prabhu Matta Sarvam Parvartate Iti Matva Badate Mahabhuta Bhava Samandita. So he says, I am the source of all. That is the theme of first also, 33, 34. And I think that will be the theme later on also, because that's the main subject. Coming to the personal application. See, let's see this. Whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me. So I was thinking, in this material world, this is very important. This is even bodily relationship. Father, mother, sister, wife. If Krishna is not at the center, then practically that is useless. So that is the first application. We may be very loving husband, wife, but if Krishna is not the essence, finished. Because whatever appears to be of any value, If it is without relation to me, has no reality.
For a grihastha
First.
devotee. For a grihastha devotee.
Yeah, for one application of the grihastha devotee, money. If the money we earn, we are not using it in the service of the Lord, part of it. So what is the point of going morning to evening and doing so many things? That's the second application. Power, position, status. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. That is, we have learned, right? So what is the use of that if that is not related to Krishna? That is the third thing. And Kunti Maharani prays, beauty, fame, education, all that thing. If that is not in relation to Krishna, that is practically useless. So in short, this is the understanding and the application of this.
So all excellent presentations, one after the other. So in Canto again, Prabhupada gives a slightly different explanation of this shloka, where Prabhupada basically discusses the three aspects: light, darkness, and reflection. Prabhupada explains this shloka in terms of these three aspects. So, there is light, there is darkness, and there is reflection. All the three are connected. Light, the darkness, and there is reflection. So, what is darkness?
Absence of light.
Absence of light. What is reflection?
Fake life.
The projection of light in darkness is reflection. The projection of light in darkness is reflection. When we were small boys, we used to play that, sunlight used to come into the house through the country tiles. They have a glass in the country tile roof. The sunlight used to come, and we used to have a mirror and then reflect it in the dark room and then play with it. So there is absence of light is darkness, and reflection is projection of light in the darkness. So Prabhupada compares these to the spiritual world, the material world, and manifestation. This is material manifestation. Okay? So he says the light is the spiritual world, which is the original. And material world is by nature darkness. Dark. It requires some external agency to actually light the material world, like the sun, like moon. And Krishna makes a joke in 15th chapter. What he says? Natad bhashayate suryo nashashanka abhavaha. There is neither sun nor moon, nor electricity, nor fire. So we don't depend on external source to light up our spiritual world. This is what Krishna's statement. And Prabhupada makes a bigger joke. Prabhupada says that why you are remaining in this material world and playing electricity bill. Stop playing electricity bill, go to spiritual world, Prabhupada says. So the point is that darkness is the material world. But in this material world, there is something which looks like light, which is the material manifestation. But it is simply a reflection of the light. Just like the analogy you are saying that the rope is construed as the snake, but it is simply a rope. So it looks like a snake. But what is true is that there is an original rope and there is an original snake. And the original rope and the original snake is where? The spiritual world. Because of the experience of the original rope and because of the experience of the original snake, a man actually thinks the rope as a snake. So if there is no original rope and if there is no original snake, there is no question of mistaking the rope as a snake and then clarifying that no, it is not a snake and it is a rope. Both of them are not possible. The initial misunderstanding of the rope as a snake and then the later clarification that it is not a snake and it is a rope, both of them are not possible if there is no original rope and there is no original snake and the experience of the original rope and the original snake. So the reflection, also the second point is that however you try to reflect the light into darkness, reflection is not sufficient to remove the darkness. So, the point that Prabhupada makes is that the material experience is insufficient to actually provide happiness to the living entity. A living entity, Jiva, can never be happy in a material experience because the reflection, how much ever you try to reflect the light to remove the darkness, it cannot completely remove the darkness. If one has to come out of darkness, the only solution is that one has to enter into light. So same way, if one has to actually experience spirituality or experience happiness, one has to get connected to the source, which is Krishna. And that's what Krishna exactly says in this verse. The moment you don't see the connection, then you only see the reflection. And what is the nature of the medium on which the reflection takes place? The nature of the medium is there is simply darkness. Unless there is darkness, there cannot be the reflection. You cannot reflect light on light. You can never do it. You cannot reflect light on light. Can you reflect light on the sun? Not possible. You can only reflect light on darkness. So the medium, the whole basis on which everything is understood simply becomes ignorance. When you try to understand everything without the connection of Krishna, it is like reflecting, it's like trying to understand the reflection as original. And the basis of the medium on which the reflection is possible is simply darkness. So then the whole understanding becomes based on ignorance. And that is how creation takes place. Creation is an interaction of the false ego with the three modes. We have studied this in the previous session. We studied, right? That false ego interacted with the mode of goodness, false ego interacted with mode of passion, and false ego interacted with mode of ignorance. And false ego itself comes from where? Mode of ignorance. False ego comes from tamoguna. So false ego manifests from mode of ignorance, and further interaction of the false ego with the three modes produces the entire creation. So the entire creation is simply based on tamoguna, when it is actually understood to be independent from the Supreme Lord. The moment we start seeing the connection, the moment we start coming into light, the moment we start seeing the connection, then what happens? Then the entire creation is understood as simply as manifestation of Krishna's love. The moment you start seeing the connection, then you start appreciating that, oh, this person loves me so much that in spite of me not loving him, in spite of me trying to run away from him, he has created such a fantastic facility for me. He has created this facility in such a way that either I can understand this or I can completely deny this understanding. So then it becomes a complete realization of the expression of Krishna's love. The moment we understand the connection, everything becomes a complete experience of Krishna's love. When we don't understand this, then it's simply trying to understand the reflection which is actually based on the medium of darkness or ignorance. So Prabhupada explains in Canto Charitamrita using this three: light, darkness and reflection. This one. Okay? So next. So the first two shlokas put together, they form the knowledge of Sambandha. The first two slokas put together, they form the knowledge of Samanta because they actually explain the relationship very nicely. They also explain what happens when the relationship is not understood. They explain what is the relationship and what happens when the relationship is understood and what happens when the relationship is not understood. You are correct. I'm coming up. Yeah.
The body is also probably the reflection of the material manifestation. The material world will be dark, but material manifestation, the body,
Yeah.
is a kind of reflection of it will come under that category, reflection of light.
Yeah, but the body is also a reflection of light, but then again, the concept is same. The moment you surcharge the senses with devotional service, then the body becomes transcendental. That's what we studied in Nectar of Instruction, that the body of a pure devotee cannot be considered as material. It cannot be, even though there are some defects, it should not be considered or seen as material. Like the analogy was given that Ganges water is pure even if it is foul. So it is a simple principle. Prabhupada gives the analogy of the fire and the iron. When the iron rod is put in the fire, what happens? It takes the quality of fire. So the moment you see the connection, then it becomes spiritual. It's as simple as that.
Practically everything is spiritual.
Everything is spiritual. Practically, that's what this sloka is going to actually explain that. If you just wait for the explanation of this sloka, that's what will come out actually.
Translation reads, O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created and at the same time I am outside of everything. So just make the gist of this purport only. There is no maybe can be some mistakes can be there. So first is that like what I understood from Prabhupada's perspective, the elements of material creation. So in preaching, you can take to understand how the material world is created by these gross elements of water, fire, air, and ether. And here, Prabhupada gives this explanation that the basic principles of the sciences are but the material elements and nothing more. Everything is created by the gross elements and the other separate elements. The body of the human being, if you compare or with the mountain or with the demigods or with Brahma, everything they are actually made from these gross elements, ingredients, earth, water, etc. And at the same time, the elements are beyond the body also. And the third thing what Prabhupada says in this purport is the elements were created first, and therefore they entered into the bodily construction later, both in circumstances, and in both circumstances they entered the cosmos and they entered also into the cosmos. And again he compares, similarly the Supreme Lord by his different energy, the internal and external energy, he is within everything and at the the same time he is not attached to the is outside of everything.
Increase the font.
It's vacant. No.
So the second point which we can discuss here is imagination by the imperceptibles. How Father attacks the imperceptibles and the material speculators. So you can just think that like the supreme Brahman is all pervading, and that is the Lord doesn't have any personal form. Here Prabhupada refutes this concept because the devotee who is srashta to the love of Godhead sees him as a personal form in every atom and every mobile and immobile object. The second point which Prabhupada is trying to tell is this mystery is very confidential, as one was covered in this before. This is understood only by the very, very intimate devotees of the Lord. And material speculators cannot at any point of time discover by dint of their intellectual gymnastics. And he gives the example of Brahmasmita, that is, that we should have that eyes smeared with that love of God that comes from regarding the creation at the earth of the supreme person as a person. And Prabhupada states very clearly that like we can attain this only by practice of devotional service, other to transcendental devotional service, loving service to the Lord and nothing else. And the third thing is the liberation of Bhakti. How others people should pray actually. Lord awards liberation to all the materialists, but awards love to God, love Godhead only to the deserving devotees, not to everybody. Even though like we can practice devotional service, but that doesn't mean that like Lord awards us that love of Godhead. So Prabhupada here he says very clearly that like this transcendental devotional service keep deserving devotees always wrapped in physiological activities without deviation from absolute touch. And here he gives the example of Brahmaji who was meditating continuously on the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada mentioned regarding the process of Bhakti Vaga, which is far, far superior than any other process of other Atmana Vaga or other ways. And desires of the pure devotees is infallible. And being Achyuta, and the devotees are also the spiritual sparks, they are also Achyuta. And always connected to the supreme service of the Lord. And this particular process cannot be understood by a layman. Prabhupada makes it very clearly, and it has to be only through knowledge, proper knowledge. And again, like he gives the example of a touchstone. Like touchstones are very rare, pure devotees to the Lord also are there. And yoga percussion, the devotional service is the highest of all. And the Lord advises Arjuna, he gives the example of Arjuna, explanation to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, 18:64, Sarva Vivekam Vidya, Shnumne Paramam Chaka. Just hear from me again the most confident part. And being the confident devotee, Krishna is the knowledge. And the fourth point which Prabhupada is trying to emphasize is propagation, how the Krishna consciousness can be propagated. And it has to be only through discipline succession. So it is the quote which Brahma spoke to Narada, Idam Bhagavatam Nama, Yanme Bhagavatam Sangraho Yam Vibhutina, Tat Tvam Eta, Brahma said to Narada, whatever I have spoken to you before Bhagavatam was explained to me by the Supreme Personal Godhead, and I am advising you to expand these topics nicely so that people may easily understand the mysterious Bhakti Yoga by transmitting themselves to the Lord. And Brahma, when he disclosed, he transferred it to Narada, and Narada to Vasudeva, and Vasudeva to Swami. So it goes on through the discrete succession, and we are hearing through the particular discrete succession. And if one is fortunate enough to have received the knowledge in the transmitted discrete succession, surely he will have a chance to understand the mystery of the Lord, and that of the Srimad Bhagavatam with the sound incarnation of the what I just collected the points and presented it.
Yeah.
And I think you are already prepared the same for the
I just covered that Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah,
51, 50.
Yes. Go on.
See, basically that what's whatsoever is covered here, that this is a knowledge is a mystery, and this can be only revealed to the pure devotees. And pure devotees, why it is revealed? Because they are engaged in the devotional service. So this same thing has been told in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is the first point, that everything is in existence is related to Krishna. There is nothing beyond Krishna. And the Prabhupada is saying that this knowledge, this is like a transcendental science. And this transcendental science has been given by Vishnu to Brahma. And to achieve this mysterious transcendental science, only the process is that any of the 9 devotional service, any service, devotional service, if somebody is doing, then he can means this mystery can be revealed to him. Otherwise, like Prabhupada is saying that impersonalists, they can never be achieve this knowledge, and they will be always in the mystery. So this knowledge will be not revealed to them. So if you want to achieve this knowledge and you want to come out of this mystery, there is only way to do the devotional service. And like the realization is that as we do the chanting, slowly, this all knowledge is revealed to us. That's why whenever somebody comes to a ISKCON, we just say, okay, start with 1 round chanting. Because we know that as soon as he will be engaged in devotional service, later on he will be coming close to this mystery. So, like time passes and he will do devotional service. That's why the basis is the devotional service only. Then only he can realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. If he will not do devotional service, he will not come to know about this truth. And this in the 52 Chaitanya Charitamrita is told that Lord's form, Leela, and all this can be revealed to only to the devotees. Same way like it has been revealed to the Brahma. And it can be revealed to only those who are in this successive disciplic succession. Otherwise, if we will listen the Bhagavatam from any other source which is not in the disciplic succession, then we cannot know this Lord's form, Leela, and everything. And there is one more point is that according to the grade of devotion and according to the grade of our service attitude, this mystery will be revealed. So as our grade will be higher, we will be more close to Krishna and more close to this knowledge. And our attitude also is, Prabhupada is telling, that service attitude. If our service attitude is more, then this mystery will be revealed. And why the mundane people are doing a lot of endeavor, but they don't have the service attitude and they are not in the devotional service, so they will be always away from this knowledge. And it is impossible who are without submissive and service, they cannot achieve this.
So the first 2 verses, we can see that we dealt with the Sambandha part, the relationship part. So in the relationship part, what are the things which are established? Krishna's position was established first. Okay. Then what is established?
Eternity.
Eternity was established. Krishna's position was established.
He is the cause of our
Our position was established. That we are eternally the servants of Krishna. So, what are the things that are established in the first 2 shlokas? Krishna was established, Jivas was established, their eternity was established as separate identities, and service was established. Okay, these things were established. And what is the other thing which was established?
how to get
Yes, Maya was established as an energy of Krishna. Okay. So basically, the famous remember this triangle? So this was established that Krishna, Jiva and Maya. their respective positions were established in the first two slokas. Krishna was established as the supreme, and he was also established as the source of both Jiva and Maya. Okay? Maya was established as an energy of Krishna. So it was also established that if Krishna's connection with the Jiva is not seen by the Jiva, he will be influenced by the Maya. And if the connection of Krishna is seen, then the Jiva will be actually with Krishna. So this thing, the complete knowledge of Sambandha was established in the first two slokas. This is what is explained in the second shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vastavam Atravastu Shivadam Tapatrayomulam. When one knows this Vastavam Vastu, one's life becomes auspicious. Shivadam, one's life becomes auspicious. Shivadam. And what happens? Tapatraya Unmulam. One is no longer afflicted or affected by the threefold material miseries of Maya. When the knowledge of this Sambandha is revealed, then the immediate effect is that the Jiva's life becomes auspicious and he becomes immune to the threefold material miseries of Maya. Yeah? This was nicely explained in the first two slokas. Pratyektam pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyaratmano Maya. So very nicely explained. Now, what Krishna does in the third shloka, Krishna explains the prayojana tattva, which is called as Sarahasya. In the prelude, this was called as Sarahasya, and in the prelude, this was called as Jnana and Vijnana, and it was called as
Sambandha.
Paramagukhyam. In the prelude shlokas, it was called as Jnana and Vijnana, and it was called as Paramagukhyam. Why it was called as Paramagukhyam? Because impulsive beings cannot understand this. Okay. Now, the third shloka actually explains the Sarahasya, which is the Prema Bhakti. So what Krishna says, Yatamahanti bhutani bhuteshu jasvateshu pravishtani apravishtani tatatu teshuna teshva. So Krishna gives a very common example. He says that just like the elements are seen inside and outside. For example, the water is seen as water outside and it is also seen inside our body. Like science knows that in our body there is so much of water and it is seen inside the milk. We know that in milk there is water. Okay? So water is seen as water outside and it is also seen inside the body. So same way fire is seen as fire outside and it is also seen inside the body because there is heat. So like in each element is also seen outside in its original form, it is also seen inside. So Krishna says like that I have entered and I have not entered. I have entered the cosmos as the Purusha avatars. Krishna has entered the cosmos as Purusha avatars. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham govindam adi purusham tamaham puja. So he has entered the cosmos, each and every atom of the cosmos as the Purusha avatars. At the same time, he remains Goloka Eva Nivasati. At the same time, he is Akhilatma Bhuta. He is Goloka Eva Nivasati, that he is actually in Goloka, which is Apravishtani. He is in Goloka, he has not entered Apravishtani. But what is the next part, not the next description? Akhilatma Bhuta. That he has entered into each and every Atma. He has entered into each and every atom, which is Pravishtani. So the Lord has entered and he has not entered. So this is very nicely explained. So a Premi Bhakta can therefore see the Lord in every atom. He can experience Krishna everywhere. स्थावर जंगम देखे तारा मूर्ति There's a nice shloka in Chaitanya Charitamrita that seeing moving and non-moving, one only sees Shyama Sundara. One does not see anything else. When one sees the moving and non-moving, one simply sees Shyama Sundara. So everything which he experiences or sees simply becomes an impetus for him to think about his Ishtadeva. He sees the river, he sees Krishna. He sees the mountain, he sees Krishna. And we can see nicely Mahaprabhu actually exhibited this mood. Whenever Mahaprabhu saw water, immediately he was saying, Yamuna, 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 Yamuna. Whenever you see something like a hill, you say, Govardhan, 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 Govardhan. You see a tree and then you say Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. You see Tamal tree, you say Krishna, 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 Krishna. So for a Premi Bhakta, because the Lord has entered into every atom, anything he sees only, he can only see Krishna, he cannot see anything else. He can simply see Krishna everywhere. And the more he sees Krishna, the more he searches for him. That is Apravishta. The more he sees Krishna, what he does? The more he searches for Krishna. We can see nicely in the Sadagoswami Ashtakam. He Radhe Vaja Devi Kech Lalite, He Nanda Sunakuta, Shri Govardhana Kalpa Pada Batale, Kalindi Vanye Kuta, Koshanto Iti Sarvato Vrajapure, Kede Mahavishwalo, Vande Rupa Sanatana Raviho, Shri Jiva Gopal. So throughout the day, what they are doing? They are searching, Hey Radha, where are you? O son of Nanda, where are you? So they are sometimes running to Yamuna, sometimes they are running to Govardhan, and they are simply searching for Krishna. So, in one sense, they are seeing Krishna everywhere. There is not a single place that they cannot see Krishna. In other sense, they are searching for Krishna. This is Pravishtani, Apravishtani. So, same way, the Lord, in one sense, is completely manifest in the Goloka. His Aprakrita Leela is simply going on in the Goloka. His eightfold pastimes are nicely going on in the Goloka. That is Apravishtani. But the same pastimes, when the person becomes mature in devotional service, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti, Yam Shyama Sundaram, Achintya Gunaswarupam, Govindam Adipurusham Tamam. So that eightfold pastimes of the Lord, which is actually going in Goloka, which is Apravishtani, it actually enters the heart of the devotee, Pravishtani. The Lord remains outside, and at the same time, he actually manifests his entire eightfold pastimes in the lotus of the devotee's heart. And the devotee, actually within his heart, is actually already gone into the Nitya Leela of the Lord. And he is already part of the eightfold pastimes of the Lord. This Pravishtani, Apravishtani. So this shloka actually explains the essence of the Premi Bhakta. That how a Premi Bhakta actually experiences Krishna everywhere. For him, it's nothing but Krishna. At the same time, he is always searching for Krishna. So that beautiful mood of actually experiencing Krishna in separation and union together. The mood of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya. So the Lord, Mahaprabhu is in union. So this is union of Radha and Krishna. But what Mahaprabhu is doing?
Searching for Krishna.
He is searching for Krishna. So that mood of how that Mahaprabhu is experiencing union and the separation at the same time, is very nicely explained in this verse. And that actually is experienced by the devotee. That's why this is called as Sarahasya. This verse is called as Sarahasya. Because this verse actually is the essence of the entire philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam. It nicely explains the vision of a prema bhakta. That how a devotee in prema, how he can always see the Lord and at the same time he is always searching for the Lord. Very nicely explained in this sloka. So it is called Sarahasya. So that's why this sloka deals with the Prayojana. Okay. So the last one.
Hare Krishna. I'm sorry I have not prepared either a chart or a table. I thought Jagadish Chetan Prabhu he will continue it. And I thought we have 3-member group, so I can take an excuse. I'll just go through few points which I have while reading and noted it down. And actually while in the class, Prabhu said, the realization is actually Prabhu said, to understand the mercy of Krishna. So, when this sloka, when I was reading, wherever I was reading, I was seeing the mercy of Krishna, how merciful Krishna is, that the avideya, the devotional service, he was given to the conditions. So, initially, Sri Prabhupada is in the purport, Prabhupada starts with a living entity, conditioned living entity. Very clearly says, the whole material existence has sprung up because of the sense gratification. A living entity initially in the spiritual world wanted to have some sense gratification away from Krishna. So we started, the material creation out of causeless mercy. I mean, we can say that material creation, Lord has not, though it is described as jail, so to say jail is a place where punishment is given, but actually the punishment is for paschatapa, for realizing what we have made. It is meant for us to purify. It is not that it's not a hell. Hell is only a place where you are beaten. But jail is not a place for being beaten. Jail is a place where you get paschatapa, where you get purified. You realize what a mistake I have done. The moment you atonement. The moment you got that, oh, I really think I made a mistake. Khalas, you are out. So the moment you start thinking, so here it says that the moment you start, I made a mistake, or how we can start realizing a mistake? That only by approaching a spiritual master. It is says, and in the purport, Sri Prabhupada very clearly specifies that any living entity cannot understand Krishna on his own, whatever be his qualifications. He has to go through with the pure devotee of the Lord. That's what has been specified. And whatever be the qualification, whatever be his birth or his intelligence or scientists, they are all of useless unless he approaches a pure devotee of the Lord. And then here it is said that there is a possibility with the so-called intelligence we might mislead or we might take a misappropriate understanding of Bhagavad Gita, though the Lord has given, Lord He Himself has given. Only way how we can understand properly Bhagavad Gita is by approaching a spiritual master. And then the Lord, Srila Prabhupada here, he says that the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said how to perform the devotional service. He said, I don't need any great things. We can even perform the devotional service even in the mind. Even you can perform. I mean, if it is difficult for you to procure, as Lord said that you can give me flower or fruit or even water, even if it is difficult for you to procure some things, you can do even in the mind. And even if it is, even that is also difficult, you can even hear. You don't take even a pain of even remembering, and then just by hearing the Lord's glorifications also you will get liberated. And then of course, very clearly it is said that here Srila Prabhupada explains about these days so-called present leaders are so ignorant that they are doing so many things but devoid of Krishna. So they doesn't have any, they cannot get us the perfection of the life. And the perfection of the life is only the service of the Supreme Lord. And also here he says, Srila Prabhupada very clearly he says that the reason why we don't accept the service of Krishna, devotional service, is only because of our mind game. Our mind makes us, go away from Krishna. Because initially we wanted to desire. So we wanted to desire still keeps us in our mind, and it always keeps us in the sense gratification which carries for the repeated birth and deaths. And then it says that only because of this mind attitude, when it changes from service, sense gratification or self-pleasure to the service of Krishna, then only the realization or the process of devotional service will start. Right here, Srila Prabhupada quotes so many Shastras wherein it is said what is the way to come out of this material world. He starts by saying from Skanda Purana that Samsare Asmin Mahagore Janma Mrityu Samakule Pujanam Vasudevasya Tarakam Vaidhivi Smaran. So it's only by Pujanam Vasudeva, only by worshipping the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, only by his devotional service, there is a possibility that one can come out of this ignorance. And it said also in the Padma Purana also it said Narayana Sada. So it's only the way how we can come out of the world, material existence, is by remembering the Narayana, means Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then another Garuda Purana also, Srila Prabhupada, Jiva Goswami quotes, Srila Prabhupada cites the Jiva Goswami's quotations of many Puranas, then goes to the Garuda Purana, and then it goes to the Bhagavatam, 1, and then Garuda Purana. And then another point, what I understood here, when I said the realization goes with the experiencing the mercy of the Lord. Here, Srila Prabhupada, after explaining everything, he explains very clearly that there is no hard and fast rules that for the to accept the devotional service or to get into the devotional service, there should be some qualification for a living entity. As you can call it as a scholar or a high birth or things like that. Anyone can take to this devotional service itself. And not only to anyone, not only a human. Srila Prabhupada even quotes from the Garuda Purana saying that even worms, Kita, Pakshi, Mrugacha. So he says not only the human body, even they also can get into devotional service, get out of this material. See the compassion of the Lord, he doesn't discriminate, he gives For a person who is not even qualified, it's sheer mercy. It is like something, by chance also if you remember the Lord, you come out of the situation. Such sort of a mercy, such sort of a compassion, causeless compassion has been cited over here. And then, but it's only said that finally to get a proper way of success, one has to approach a bona fide or proper spiritual master. And then it is said, though it is to get a perfection, you need to go for a proper bona fide spiritual master, but the devotional service itself is so. Sri Prabhupada gives an analogy of a fire. Fire, knowingly or unknowingly also you get some amount of burning. So similarly, in devotional service, you do knowingly or unknowingly, you get the benefits. But you get the full benefits when you go through a proper, a bona fide sampradaya and following the principles, discipline succession. And then one more nice statement. I have not heard this before. Srila Prabhupada says here, very nice sloka also. He says, Nachalati Bhagavat Padaravinda Lavamatena. One who doesn't leave the lotus feet of the Lord, not even for a fraction of a minute, he is actually the best Vaishnava. The Lord said, earlier we heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stating that once you utter the Lord's name, you become a Vaishnava, and then goes on. This seems to be the perfection of that statement, that you doesn't even forget the Lord's name, not even for a fraction. And also it is said that why that Vaishnavas remember the Lord such intensely without even forgetting a fraction of a minute. Because it is said that the pure devotees are convinced of attaining the association of the Lord. Because they are convinced that they can get the association of the Lord, they continuously would like to remember the Lord, to have the association of the Lord. They are eager to get the association of the Lord. And then it goes on quite long, I take it. It's a big, very big purport. So, the more and more you read, everywhere it says how compassionate the Lord is. It shows that one thing is sure, that it is only remembrance of the Lord or worshipping of Lord Vasudeva or Narayana which makes us to come out of this material world. That is about the devotional service. And for that, there is no discrimination that you have to be intelligent or one has to take 100 births, then he becomes a qualified person. Then only he can come to the devotional service. Nothing has been kept as such. Any person, in the Srila Prabhupada at one place, it says that even a person in the womb of a mother also can remember. Prahlada is an example. Prahlada worshipped the Lord when he was in the womb. Means there is no, he didn't even come out of the material world, to the material world, but still he started remembering. So example has been given. And next example, not only that person who is in the womb, but even immediately after coming 5 years, Dhruva also practiced nicely devotional service. And then as a youth, as a full-grown personality, Ambarisha. So there is no age, or there is no limitation of a human body, or there is no limitation of intelligence, is there for the mercy of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
In fact, this purport is a very important purport. Everybody should read this purport thoroughly, and it is very useful for teaching, because Prabhupada fires magazines after magazines of bullets as to why one should actually take up devotional service. Prabhupada quotes left, right, center from all different shastras, and after quoting at least about so many shlokas, then Prabhupada makes a list. At the end of the purport, Prabhupada makes a list of one more set of shlokas where actually hammers this point that one should take up devotional service, one should take up devotional service, one should take up devotional service. So, after explaining the tattva of sambandha and the tattva of prayojana, then naturally Krishna takes up the tattva of abhidheya, very nicely, and he explains, Etavadeva jigyasa, tattva jigyasa atmanah, anvayat vyatirekabhyam, yasmat sarvatra sarvada. Okay. So, there are certain very beautiful aspects of this shloka. The first aspect of this shloka is that Krishna recognizes that we have multivarious engagements. This is the first thing. Okay. So Krishna recognizes that we are doing many things. It's not that we are simply doing only one activity. The nature of material world is that there is variety of activities, and the jivas are engaged in variety of activities in trying to find happiness. And Krishna does not exclude any activity. He says that sarvatra sarvada. This is the first important point. Nothing is excluded in devotional service. It's not that any skill set, anything which one possesses as a certain skill or as a certain special quality, there is nothing which cannot be engaged in devotional service. Devotional service is so inclusive that everything can be doubted into Krishna's service. Yeah, positively one can doubt this. In the sense that it should not be the envy of the material world. Envy of the material world is that I will pull him down. Okay.
I will serve better than him.
But in the spiritual world, the envy is that let him do nice service. I will try to serve better than him. So there is a positive recognition of other person's nice service, and there is facilitation of that service also. Not that you try to, the material world envy means that someone is doing nicely, you try to spoil his nice work. You try to spoil what he is doing. But in spiritual world, the envy works in such a way that there is envy, but that envy works in such a way that the other person's service is enhanced, and you also try to surpass his service. That's how spiritual envy works. So everything can be, so what Krishna says, that Anvayat Vyatirekabhyam Yasmat Sarvatra Sarvada. Okay. Now, the second aspect. Okay, so first what he said, Sarvatra Sarvada. Okay, everything can be utilized in Krishna's service. Then, this is qualified by the previous sentence. What is the previous sentence? Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam. One is direct, the other one is indirect. That answers your question. Okay. In the sense that everything can be utilized in Krishna's service, some of it can be utilized directly in Krishna's service, and some of it can be utilized indirectly in Krishna's service. So directly in Krishna's service means some of it can be directly engaged in service. Some of things can be engaged in the material world in Krishna's service by giving them up. This is called indirect engagement. So there are rules, there are regulations. Rules means you do positive things. Regulations means you don't do negative things. Is clear? So certain things can be engaged by, like for example, pious activities can be engaged by directing them from demigods to Krishna. You can directly do whatever you are doing to a demigod, you can directly do it to Krishna. You are offering something to the demigod, you are praying to the demigod, you are doing everything. That you can shift it to Krishna. Sinful activities can be engaged in Krishna's service by giving them.
Mostly demigod people go for getting something out of it. So you can go for Krishna also to get it.
I mean, you can go to Krishna, but you can give up this idea of getting something from him.
So it goes off like one.
Yeah, so you can give up this idea of getting something. So there are two ways of engaging everything in Krishna's service. Some of it is engaged directly, some of it is engaged indirectly. What is engaged directly is by doing it. What indirect engagement is it by giving it up. Okay. So Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam Yasmat Sarvatra Sarvada. So what he says, etavadeva jigyasa. So what should be one's subject of enquiry? Because there is enquiry in the material world. It's not that there is no enquiry in the material world. You go to any shopping mall, what do you find?
Inquiry.
Enquiry counter. You go to any office, you find reception. You go to any place, you find someone where you can ask questions and get answers.
May I help you?
May I help you? You buy anything, what do you get?
Customer.
Catalog or operation manual, which is what? Which is
How to use.
enquiry. How to use it, how not to use it, all these things. So enquiry is the nature of material world. In material world, always enquiry is happening. Okay. So Krishna says, use this tendency to inquire. Etavadeva jignasam. Use this tendency to inquire. But what should be the subject matter of inquiry? Tattva jignasuratmanaha. The subject matter of inquiry should be the truth about Jiva, Maya and Krishna. Yeah. The subject matter of inquiry should be about the truth between Jiva, Maya and Krishna. One should simply inquire about this. Okay. When one should inquire about this, in what condition one should inquire about this, at what time and place and circumstance one should inquire about this, sarvatra, sarvada. In all conditions one should inquire about this. At all times one should inquire about this. In all places one should inquire about this. There is nothing, there is no time or no place or no circumstance which is excluded in making this inquiry. There is no inappropriate time for making this inquiry. There is no inappropriate place for making this inquiry. There is no inappropriate circumstance for making this inquiry. In all times, in all places, in all circumstances, only this inquiry should be made.
But this inquiry should be made to the wrong person.
Huh?
Inquiry should not be made to the wrong person.
Of course. That is what Prabhupada explains the whole part. That's why it says Tattva Jignasuratmana. Tattva Jignasuratmana means that you have to ask also to the one who knows the truth. Prabhupada Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that Vidhi Pranipadena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshantite Jnanam Jnaninas Tattvadarshinaha. So one who knows the Tattva, he should be the person from whom the inquiry is made. But when you see that person, you should not consider any time, place or circumstance. This is the most important point. That to make the inquiry on you, because in material world for everything there is time, place and circumstance. You can't give away this thing. There's a time for doing certain thing. There's a place for doing certain thing. There's a circumstance for doing certain thing. Every material activity in the material world is simply conditioned by time, place and circumstance. You can't do everything everywhere. It is that all the material activities are conditioned by time, place and circumstance. Devotional service is one activity which is not controlled by time, place and circumstance. Everywhere, in every place, in every walk of life, in every moment of one's life, devotional service can be practiced. There is no moment of life which is inappropriate for making this inquiry into devotional service. That's what Prabhu was nicely explaining. In the womb, being in the body of a worm, being in the body of a bird, being in the body of a small child, being in the body of a demon, being in the body of a demigod, being in the body of a man, being in the body of a woman. Nothing is actually an impediment for making this inquiry. Nothing is an impediment for making this inquiry. This is very nicely established. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayatma Vaibhab पुंसां परो धर्मो यतो भक्तिर्योक्ष्यते ahaitukki apratihata. Apratihata means that it is not controlled or checked by any material circumstance. In fact, the 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam display different varieties of material circumstance where this enquiry is made. The whole of 9 cantos give us different circumstances, and in all circumstances this enquiry about self-realization is made. And it also shows different types of people. A rogue, Ajamila, he makes this inquiry. A great pious person, Chitraketu, he makes this inquiry. A demon, Vritrasura, he makes this inquiry. In the womb, Prahlad makes this inquiry. The greatest materialistic person, or the greatest person, the person with the greatest materialistic desire, Dhruva, he makes this inquiry. A child, he makes this inquiry. A Brahmana, he makes this inquiry. Whole of Bhagavatam simply actually establishes or expands this one point that, and in the time of death, Parikshit Maharaj is making this inquiry. So, the whole point that Bhagavatam says, Bhagavatam tries to actually show to us that there is no circumstance, there is no material circumstance at the time of having sex. This enquiry is made. After having sex, this enquiry is made. There is no circumstance in material world which is actually exempt from making this enquiry. Bhagavatam shows all these different circumstances. So, the point which Prabhupada or Krishna drives in this shloka is that somehow or other, irrespective of one's material situation, one should take up devotional service as an obligation. Nothing disqualifies one from taking up devotional service. And the whole of Bhagavatam is a demonstration of this, that nothing disqualifies one from taking up devotional service. And we will see that in next class that the 10 topics of Bhagavatam simply revolves on these 4 shlokas. These 4 shlokas are expanded into the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam are simply expanded on these 4 shlokas. This is the beauty of Bhagavatam. That the core of the Bhagavatam is these 4 shlokas, which is Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti is the core of Srimad Bhagavatam. The heart of Srimad Bhagavatam is love of God, Prema Bhakti. And the entire 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam is simply focusing us to this one topic, which is Prema Bhakti. That is why Bhagavatam is called Rasha Shastra. In the 3rd sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami says, what Vyasadeva says, Idamakalpataror Galitam Phalam Sukhamka Amrita Drava Samritam Pipata Bhagavatam Rasamala. Because this is rasa. Prema Bhakti is rasa. Love of God, it is rasa. And Bhagavatam opens up this rasa. It says that there is no circumstance in the material world which stops a jiva from actually experiencing this rasa of Prema Bhakti through the proper system of sadhana and inquiry. So prema is everybody's property. It's not that prema is only somebody's property and it's not somebody else's property. Prema is everybody's property. And that property can be obtained irrespective of one's material situation. This is the core principle of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this core principle will actually be established through these 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that we'll see in the next class. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Then come back. We'll cover the next chapter. That will be our last class of the season. So those who missed today's class, they should hear the class before coming to the next class. I don't know if that's possible.
They will go through the recording. Temple program.
Very good. Yeah, Prema Prabhu is uploading daily. I mean, in internet it's there. All the classes are there.
If you can put the link on the
He has not loaded on the YouTube. Last time he was recording in YouTube.
No, they are loaded already. I saw yesterday, 17th June. Yeah. Sure.